The fire was warm where the elders sat near, but smoke curled out where I crouched in the rear. A deer lung struck ground as the laughter grew. A second flame twisted in silence I knew. No voice named me, but the smoke drew a ring and whispered my place where the flame learned to sing. The hide on the rack bled red in the dawn. Each taunt was a stone that my fingers drew on. The red in my braid came thread after thread, tied with the breath that the silence had fed. And deep in the beat of a drum not yet played, the weight of their scorn made the promise I made. The cradle lay still in the light's falling beam and traced a straight line through the cedar's dream. A war club leaned where the shadow had pooled, its grain like a script that no hand had schooled. I lifted its heft where the cradle had burned and felt in its swing what the heavens had turned. A bird without name landed close to my ear and breathed through my skin where no others could hear. Two faces awoke from the flesh of my side and laughed at the world with a stranger's pride. The mask on the branch fitted fast to my breath, and the name that it gave was a shape past death. A drumbeat rang low from a place out of reach. It echoed through trees with a summoning speech. They came from 4 roads with shells in their hands, each marked with a flame in distinct colored bands. I wound them as one on a long wooden rod, and heard in the rattle the steps of the god. The crown had been cast in the heat of the fray, and mud sealed the antlers that once shaped my way. The shield I had mocked rose up through the ash. Its dents were the map that no fire could dash. He poured from the gourd where the wound had been laid, and brought back the breath that the silence had stayed. The stone I released had no thought or plan, but rolled to the mark as if called by hand. The ear faces laughed with a rhythm I knew, and guided the throw with a laugh cutting through. The trophy was light as it fell in my grip, and danced with the mask like a double eclipse. The shrine had 3 levels, each tier a domain. Above was the star, and below, death's refrain. The rattle I shook met the pendant's clear light, and grain burst open from shadow to sight. The husks sang softly with voices not mine, and wind drew a breath through the whole of the shrine. The banner hung high, but my scar was still red, and both had to meet where the carvings were red. I spoke the first name and the last in a breath, and marked the stone line that remembers through death. No part could be lost, or the pillar would fade. Both shame and acclaim must be equally laid. The panel was carved where the red figures danced. The bead in my palm kept the names they'd advanced. The mask on my face held the breath of the right, and lit up the wall with a filament light. A new figure burned where the carvings had slept, a braid and a horn where the old ones had wept. The stars overhead sent a map to the stone, and traced their own path in the rock I had known. I struck with the staff at the mark they aligned, and heard a return in the echo's design. Now law, land and sky all arrive in one tone, and speak through the wall in a voice of their own.